This program is brought to you in part by the Paul B. Hunter and Constance D. Hunter Charitable Foundation, Incorporated, a proud partner of WUCF-TV and the Central Florida community.
Welcome to a journey through history. This is Central Florida Road Trip.
Welcome to this episode of Central Florida Road Trip. I'm your host, Dr. Phil Hoffman. This week, we're making a stop in the northwest corner of Orange County in the city of Apopka. Now, you might not know, Apopka is also known as the indoor foliage capital of the world, and it's the second largest city here in Orange County. Today, we're making our home base here in historic Highland Manor, which was built in 1903. The early Native Americans called the area Ahapopka, which translated roughly means potato eating place. Before the city was even formed, it was one building called the Lodge, and that formed the early beginnings of Apopka.
The Lodge was established by warrant through the Grand Lodge of Florida in the year 1856, and at the time there was not much in the area. In fact, the community was known as the Lodge before it was known as Apopka. In the early years, Masons were sort of the backbone of the community. The Lodge was so important to community life and to essentially the character of Apopka. There's a Masonic seal that is actually included in the city seal. We are the oldest lodge in the state of Florida in continuous use. When Apopka was chartered, the papers were actually signed downstairs on the first floor, and the city boundaries extended from 1 mile in every direction from the lodge. So the lodge was the epicenter of community life at that time.
Apopka has such a rich history, and a lot of that dates back to the 1800s, and especially after the Civil War, people began migrating and taking advantage of the warm climate. Apopka was noted in a tourist magazine in 1923. It was a promotion to tell people to come here to Apopka, because the soil was perfect. The area itself was conducive for farming. And with that came people who were seeking a way to make a living, because you had the railroad coming, you had the citrus industry that was being born, and Apopka itself is known as the foliage capital of the world.
The importance of the foliage industry to Apopka was that it was one leg of a three-legged stool. You have to remember that we had the vegetable farms out on the muck lands. That was a big economic factor, probably employing 4,000 people. The citrus industry was the biggest agriculture segment in the Orange County, Central Florida area, and then foliage was the third leg. They kind of complemented each other in that when one leg would start limping, the other two seemed to pick up, and that's really the story of Florida agriculture. Apopka was a pure agricultural community in the 60s and the 70s. The Apopka JCs, their president decided that if Apopka was going to ever be known for anything, it ought to be known for foliage, and we ought to have a festival to celebrate it. The JCs had the first Apopka Foliage Festival. Now the Ladies Garden Club had a flower show that had been going on for several years, but they were totally separate from each other. Today they've merged them, and the ladies operate it very well.
It's been a tradition here in Apopka. This is our 58th year of doing the Apopka Art and Foliage Festival. We're unique in that we have fine art, creative crafts, and foliage. All of the money that we raise during the weekend for the festival goes back into the community in donations. It's a labor of love. It's something that we love to do. We do it for the love of the community.
The real estate out here is the most desirable in Central Florida. As the citrus went away, the developers moved in, so We've become a bedroom community over the years, and I think that's probably the biggest change, the number of rooftops that we have, you know, here in Northwest Orange County now from where we were 30 or 40 years ago. I love Apopka. I get offended when people say anything negative about the city, and I'm proud of it. And I think we have a lot of things here that are good for people. But yeah, I wouldn't want to grow up anywhere else. We've got a great history here.
Founded in 1882, the city of Apopka has had 28 mayors over the course of its history. The amazing thing is one of those mayors accounted for nearly half of the city's 137 years.
Since the early 1920s, John Land was a part of the Apopka community. Shortly after marrying his wife Betty, Land was urged to run for the mayor of Apopka. That was in 1949, and the rest, as they say, is history. A long history of serving his community for over 6 decades.
Mayor Land was just such a people person. He had such a sense, his integrity was beyond reproach, and just a great person. I think that's the reason that he stayed in office for so long, is that he treated people fairly and was great for this community.
Mayor Land, he was a very shrewd person. I mean, he was so smart as well when it came to business. And having been the mayor for 60 years, you know, people loved him. I mean, he was to us, he was like a staple in the community.
John was just John. He, you know, I don't know that anybody called him mayor because everybody here has known him all his life.
People just appreciated him, his honesty, and everything he brought to the table. I never considered him a politician, but he had the ability to bring Apopka everything that the city deserved, and he worked hard at it. That was his life.
I mean, he had a wealth of knowledge. He too was a walking encyclopedia. There's not anything you couldn't tell him about, you know, the area of which he grew up in. So, you know, we miss him, you know, because he was always, you know, with the people.
John Land passed away in 2014 after serving 61 years as the mayor of Apopka. That term makes John Land the second longest serving mayor ever in U.S. history.
He was just so well known. I mean, I've heard people say that they could be at a municipal meeting of some sort. When John stood up to ask a question or to make a statement or whatever, everybody stopped and everybody listened. And I think that was the essence of John Land, that he just was that well respected.
It was just such like a handshake and you know, people took him for his word, and he led them into the millennial.
I thought he had tremendous vision. He could kind of see where we needed to go. And I think he was just very protective of the city. He was Apopka. I think everywhere he went, going to Tallahassee or Orange County or wherever. I mean, if anybody thought about Apopka and John Land were all in the same sentence. This was his territory.
"60 years, unbelievable." Well, what do you think? Are you in the game for 60 years now?
I don't think that's going to happen.
We're here with current mayor of Apopka, Brian Nelson. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Apopka has changed a lot, I'm sure, over the years. Tell us a little bit about the changes you've seen in your time.
Well, you know, having grown up in here for the 60 years of my life, yeah, it's interesting to have some pictures in City Hall that this intersection of 441 and 436, when I was a kid, was nothing but orange groves. So you can imagine, and now here, look at the growth right here at this intersection.
It's a little different now, yeah.
Yeah, we were a 2 traffic light, you know, town back then, you know, as growing up. And so, yeah, just the memories of, you know, those, you know, how it was back in those days. It's, yeah, we have made some significant progress, sometimes for the better and sometimes not always that great. But yeah, we are proud to be Apopkan and proud of, you know, what the town has become.
So now your family was involved in the flower and foliage industry that kind of helped found this town. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, my grandfather started O.F. Nelson & Sons Nursery, and then soon thereafter my uncle BP and my dad Earl came into the business, and I guess best known for Nelson's Florida Roses. Also had a pretty substantial foliage business on, as well as the roses. And so, yeah, it was, my degree was in horticulture and spent 20 years with the family business before selling out to my cousin. But yeah, a lot of great memories about the foliage industry, not only at Nelson's Nursery, but the whole, Apopka area, known as the foliage capital of the world.
Now, before you became mayor of Apopka, you were also elected to a couple other offices. Has your time as an Orange County representative helped you here in terms of what you're doing?
Well, yeah, it's funny. I started at the state level. I served 8 years in the legislature, and then termed out and then ran for Orange County Commissioner. Served there for 3 years, and then came back to my hometown of Apopka. Always my dream job.
And part of that legacy, of course, is as you're growing and all these things are happening here in Apopka, there's always that challenge of balancing, maintaining the small town feel of a city as it grows. How are you doing that?
That's the real challenge. It's like the town center, which we're right in the middle of here, is we want to have this kind of a walkable area where we'll have shopping and food opportunities and a hotel and this Highland Manor building we're in, so that you can come and reconnect with your neighbors. It's sad that we no longer kind of meet, at the corner and talk about our day or our week. And so this, I think, will be an area where we can do that. We can come back as a community and meet, have a bite to eat and, and a drink and talk about what's going on in our city.
Well, great. Well, thank you for joining us, Mayor Nelson. We appreciate your time. I'll see you in 60 years. We'll come back and see how it turned out. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Here's a Central Florida road trip fast fact about Apopka for you sports fans. Apopka is considered a haven for football talent. Over the years, 23 Apopkans have gone on to play in the National Football League.
Now let's see what our favorite history devotee, Don Price, has uncovered for this week's Artifact.
Thanks, Phil. I'm here at the Orange County Regional History Center with Chief Curator Pamela Swartz. Pamela, what do you have to show us today?
Today we are focusing on Apopka, and one of the items that, I should say several items that we chose, are actually more recent history. They're from 2001, and a lot of people don't think of an institution like this collecting something so contemporary. But this was a huge story locally, and this is about the Little League team who in 2001 went to the World Series. So they competed against 3 million other kids, 200,000 teams in the nation, and won. After winning that, they became the little team that could, and they had parades and all sorts of great things going on in the community for them. They went on to the World Series against Japan, and unfortunately, they did lose 2-1 in a really heartbreaking sort of final play. But we have a variety of items that are signed by the team. This was a really, really big deal for all of those kids, and as well as those individuals, their parents in the community.
Awesome. So these make, these artifacts here are important to Central Florida.
Of course, yeah.
They help us, they teach us, we can learn from them.
Absolutely, and it's one of those things where it was a unique thing. This isn't, you don't send kids from Central Florida to the World Series every single year. And so they talk about a moment in time, they talk about what was going on in sports and how Central Florida played into that. And it also tells the story of the lives of several youth here and their types of experiences. All of these children are now men, are now adults somewhere, and we would love to be able to track some down and do oral histories with them. It's one of these things where a story is not isolated to the time it happens. These individuals go on to have probably great impact from this moment in their life, and so it's really, really important.
This is awesome. Another gem from the Regional History Center. Thanks for sharing.
Foliage may be big business here in Apopka, but there's still room to take care of the fauna. In fact, Apopka is home to the Avian Reconditioning Center, a rehab facility for birds of prey.
The Avian Reconditioning Center is a specialized wildlife facility working only with birds of prey, who are also known as raptors. The center was started to help conserve these animals, to help bring this to the forefront of what's happening with our raptors. They're at the top of the food chain. They are our environmental barometers. They are telling us about the health of our ecosystems, so they are vitally important. We don't do critical care here. We concentrate on rehabilitation.
The bird that started all this was a little screech owl named Hunter. As a tiny owlet, Hunter was attacked by blue jays, and he lost an eye. But Art gave Hunter the care that he needed.
I'm happy to say that Hunter is now considered a geriatric screech owl. He's lived about 3 screech owl lifetimes, and he is still healthy and going strong.
He's loving this wind. Something about Ruby here has just always drawn me in. A lot of us have birds that we like to work with every single time we're here to really work on that bond of handler with bird. So, yeah, she's a dream.
This is Scooter. She's a swallow-tailed kite. They are native to Florida. In fact, they're migratory birds, long-distance migratory birds. They spend their summers here in Florida, and they spend their winters down in Brazil. These guys are really an important species. They're one of those species that allows us to know how the environment is going. Scooter here has also played an important role at our center. When we've gotten in orphan swallow-tailed kites, we can put Scooter in as a surrogate. So even though Scooter doesn't understand fully what she is, she still sounds enough like a kite, she eats like a kite, she flies like a kite. And when we put the orphaned babies in with her, they look up at her as an adult and they see what they need to see in an adult bird.
Another major rescue was a swallowtail kite appropriately named Apopka. After rehabbing an injured wing, Apopka was fitted with a tracking device and released into the wild.
Swallowtail kites are actually the most imperiled bird that has no federal protection. So an opportunity to put a transmitter on a rehabilitated kite was an opportunity to see if rehabilitation can work for these species that have to make a 10,000-mile round-trip migration. Because of the new transmitters, which work off cell phone towers, we are able to get a lot more information than was ever possible before. Once you meet these birds and learn about them and the challenges that they are facing, that we are creating, it makes you want to help them.
We just all come from areas where we have concern and we have love for animals. And we want to see them succeed and continue because we want the kids who come here in that next generation to see these birds, see all these guys, and foster that caring in them by watching how much we care about them, and hope that some of that rubs off and kind of lets them know that, you know, these guys are worth saving, that you want these around.
These birds are incredible, all bird of prey. They are amazing to work with. After I saw everyone's passion here, working with the birds, I got to know the people more, the volunteers, the birds themselves. So many personalities, so much fun. Every day was a gift, and it still is. So it's an incredible journey.
And now we move from feathers to fur. At the Orlando Apopka Airport, a local pilot volunteers his plane and his time about 3 or 4 times a month to help our four-legged friends.
Michael Young is completing another mission flight of love. Dozens of volunteers show up at Apopka Airport to welcome his plane full of passengers.
Hi guys, wait, I gotta get a shot of this.
Passengers who are ready to share more joy than you can imagine.
Come here, buddy. Oh my goodness. How big they are.
On this trip, 30 puppies have just arrived as part of the Save a Life pet rescue. The puppies are flown in from overcrowded shelters all over Alabama.
I love flying, and what better way is there to enjoy the hobby than saving dogs? Transporting them from areas where they won't be adopted, that they may be put to sleep, to more congested areas like here in Central Florida, where they want puppies. Dogs are here to love us. In fact, my 3 dogs came from my rescue flights.
Michael works with fellow pilots in Alabama who fly dogs from remote shelters to rendezvous with him in Enterprise. He and several volunteers then gather the pups and fly them back to Apopka, where a much brighter future awaits.
Usually, I get pictures of the puppies before they come on a flight. And most of the time, the puppy pictures, they're in this kennel. all crowded together, or they're on the kennel door wanting to come out to play. It breaks my heart to see that. I can't wait to get them, because I know we're going to put them in a playpen area, and they're going to play with people and other puppies, and the joy they have, oh my God. These puppies have never played with any other puppies before. Now they see all these puppies from all over Alabama, and they just get along and they play with each other. And they just jump on people and love people. I don't know who's happier, the puppy or the person.
Oh, look at that face. Look at that.
I probably have made over 200 flights. And I think the flight today puts me over 4,600 puppies and dogs in that plane since I started in 2011.
To have an adult, you know, especially volunteer his plane and his time, it's undescribable is what it is. It's one part in a big, long process that it takes, but it's a big step because if we can't get them to us, we can't save them.
The puppies are then gathered into a van by Save a Life Pet Rescue and taken to foster homes for a few weeks to make sure they're healthy and ready for adoption.
2006, we had a dream, and we started to pull from some high-kill shelters in Georgia, and then it kind of just took off from there, and it's gotten bigger and bigger. People that work at these shelters, they do everything they can to get these pets out. Unfortunately, you know, they just don't have a lot of resources where they're at. We're really lucky here in Seminole County that we're able to have the support system we do, and people take care of so many pets, so we're able to adopt them out.
Each Saturday and Sunday at the PetSmart in Oviedo, Save a Life Rescue holds adoption events. Through the years, they have found forever homes for some 18,000 puppies.
Every weekend is a surprise. We never know how many people are going to show up, so it's definitely fun. You meet a ton of amazing people that come out. Our goal this year, if we can open a facility that's 7 days a week, we would be able to save that many more pets. It would make such a difference.
It's really a good feeling to know what I'm doing is making a difference. I look at the joy on the puppies and the joy on the people who play with them. It's just the love you get from dogs you can't get from any other creature. They're dedicated to you, they love you, and in exchange, you have a friend.
If we didn't have positive days like this, then I don't know who could continue doing rescue, but this is what makes it all worthwhile. All the hard work you do to get these pets ready for rescue, whenever you see them come up for adoption and find a forever home, that's exactly the end goal in all of this.
This member of the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame was once a plumber's helper in his hometown. Country music star John Anderson called Apopka home before moving to Nashville to strike it big.
Next week on Central Florida Road Trip, we head to both Eatonville and Maitland because those cities share a common history.
As I come into Eatonville off 1792 and I look at this wall that's there between Eatonville and Maitland, and I think about back when Eatonville was started, that someone on the other side of that wall saw something that could be on this side of the wall. I think that's a lesson to take outside the walls.
We'll learn more about Zora Neale Hurston and also the founding of the Maitland Arts Center. That and so much more on Central Florida Road Trip.
Think you might know a bit of history that we've missed? Then head on over to facebook.com/WUCFTV and let us know. And for more adventures around our area, check out other episodes of Central Florida Road Trip at WUCF.org/roadtrip.
That's it for this episode of Central Florida Road Trip. Be sure to tune in next time as we continue to explore the rich history that surrounds us every day right here in Central Florida.
This program is brought to you in part by the Paul B. Hunter and Constance D. Hunter Charitable Foundation, Incorporated, a proud partner of WUCF-TV and the Central Florida community.